Alright guys, so something a little bit different today. I've not been doing a heap of astrophotography lately, but I've been messing around with my guitar as I often do to, one of my other hobbies. And what I just want to talk about today briefly is if, like me, you play a bit of acoustic guitar and maybe you find it a little bit tricky to practice, whether it's scales or songs or whatever it is. One thing that I've found been really useful for me is using an acoustic guitar amplifier. So an amplifier that's made specifically for acoustic. Now, it took me a long time to get onto this, because I guess in my head I just thought, well, acoustic, it's not really meant to be amplified, so why do I need to bother? But in actual fact, when you've got an amplifier, you get a much bigger sound, obviously, and a much fuller sound. And it can make it a bit more interesting, especially for things like practice, or even eventually you can even put some pedals on, some basic pedals like reverb and stuff. So obviously, like with your guitar, you're going to have a pickup of some sort, whether it's a pickup that's under your bridge, like a piezo type pickup, or a magnetic pickup like this. Some of the higher end guitars have little microphones inside as well. But you're going to need some kind of pickup, obviously, to put it into an amplifier. So the amplifier I'm talking about here is the Fishman Loudbox Mini. I got this after looking online at a few recommendations and a few reviews, and it's not like the top end of amplifiers, but it's also not a super cheap one either. It sits sort of nicely in the middle, and the reviews that I got on this thing was that it's a good, reliable, solid acoustic guitar amplifier, and it comes sort of highly recommended. So look, what I thought I might do here, so I don't make this video too long, which I have a tendency to do, is I'm just going to I'll play some chords or something, just as the guitar is. So this is a Dreadnought acoustic, it's a Sigma guitar. And I'll just play a few chords here, just so, it sounds nice. So you can see there, I mean, it definitely sounds nice. But the thing is, sometimes, especially for practice, it's, if you're doing things like scales or if you're just practicing parts of a song, it can be nice to get a fuller and a bigger sound, so at least it gives you more chance to play around. So what I'm going to do now, off to the side, I've got my little Fishman Loudbox. Now, I'm only using my Rode microphone. It's a little Rode like shotgun microphone that's sat on my camera. So I know that the sound won't be too great, but I still think it'll give you a good impression of the difference when we switch on the amplifier. So, all right, so now we've switched on our amplifier. Don't know if you can hear. Hoping this picks up okay on this microphone, like I said. So of course we can also then add some extra reverb, and we can add some chorus to our amplifier as well. So let's try. So what I've done now is I've cranked up the reverb I've cranked up the reverb now in the chorus on this, so we should be able to hear. So even things like this, even for basic things like practicing, your scales. So hopefully you can hear through this microphone on this camera just how it's a lot more expansive and fuller. So it can just give you a very different sound. Now what I'm going to do now is one extra little thing. So I'm now going to plug this little microphone here in to the amp as well. So this now will have a mixture of the pickup and the guitar and the microphone as well. So I'm going to do that next. Test, test. Alright guys, hopefully you're still with me. So now, you can probably hear I've got the microphone on as well. So that means it's going to pick up obviously a bit more of the guitar itself and the spatialness, the space of the room. So kind of a bit more ambience, I guess you'd say. Hopefully there you can hear, now there's a bit more, you can hear my voice echoing, but you can hear a bit more of the space there of the room, hopefully. So that's basically now we've got the Fishman Loudbox with the input from the guitar in it, as well as this microphone that's being plugged into that second input. So really nice, then you can have a nice little mix between, both. Alright guys, so that's just, like I said, that's just a little look at like if you're interested like adding a little acoustic amplifier to your arrangement, to your rig for practicing at home and stuff, can actually be really, I think it can be really useful in inspiring you to actually pick up your guitar and practice. So obviously because we've got a pickup and we've got the amp, even though like acoustic guitars you don't traditionally use that many pedals or effects or anything like that, I personally have a couple of pedals. Again, I'll show you this in an image, but basically I've got a little delay pedal, I've got a reverb pedal, and I have a looper sat down here. So if I play like a normal, just a chord like this, so that's just coming out the amplifier. So it's going through my pedals, but there's nothing, none of my pedals are switched on at the moment. So if I put on my delay pedal, you can probably hear that. So again, that can make it a bit of fun. So you can probably hear that delay. So that's a bit of delay that can be handy. And then if I put a bit of reverb on as well, so I've got this pedal here, it's called the Hall of Fame 2. It's a popular sort of reverb pedal. And if I play here, there are some pretty silly ones as well. Depends what you want to do. This is called shimmer. So again, there's only a couple of pedals here. One of them's like a delay pedal, the other one's a reverb pedal. But as you can hear, it just gives you some options. And then, you know, just with a couple of simple pedals like that, if you put a little looper on the end, it means you can record things and then play, of course, over the top of them. So I've got a little looper down here at the end of all my pedals. So basically my guitar goes, I go out of my guitar, I go into my first pedal. I think my light's just gone off. We'll just carry on. I go into my first pedal, I go through all my effects pedals, and then at the end I come out of my looper pedal into my amplifier. So here's just an example of what you could do with a looper. So if I just make something you know, nice and sort of simple just to begin with. So let's go, let's start our looper off. That didn't work, guys. Let's try again. that's our first little simple loop there. So what we can do now is record something over the top of that. Okay, so now we've got a second loop. We've got a second loop on top, yeah? So again, there you go. Let me take the sound down for a second. So the point being, now we've got two loops on there that we can practice over with something else, or we can just keep adding and adding layers and layers to our loop. Okay, so now we've got 3 loops in. Alright, so now the good thing about this, if you're practicing then, even with like an acoustic, like now we've got that little loop that we've created. So now we've got a little loop that we've created. We've got something that we can like practice over, whether it's a scale, you know, something you're trying to practice, or just you know, just to have a bit of fun with. So if we set that off playing now. Alright guys, so that pretty much, turn that down, that pretty much does it for this video. I wanted to put this out there because, you know, I've had an acoustic amplifier for about 2 years now. There's a ton of them out there. Like I said, I can only recommend this one because it's the only one I've tried, the Fishman Loudbox Mini. There are a bunch of other ones. I know there's AER, but they're very expensive. Loudbox Minis, I think, are like relatively in the middle. I think they're like, in terms of dollars, Australian dollars, 600 or 700 Australian dollars, and I think it's been a great little amp. You can also Bluetooth to it, so you can play songs in the background as well if you want to jam along sort of to a song. I don't really use that, but you can. And it's also got a direct out, a DI on it, so you can basically plug it into a recording device if you wanted to just record the sound straight out of the amp. With the pedals, I just think they can be really cool and useful. You know, I've been playing, like I said, for a few years now. I mean, I've been playing for a long time, sort of acoustic, but I've always been kind of, what shall I say, half-assed with it. And I just find these give me a little bit more inspiration to actually do some practice if I'm by myself. And so I think, like, if you get an amp, look into like a little delay pedal. I've got the MXR carbon copy, little simple delay pedal, works really well. I've got a Hall of Fame 2, simple little reverb pedal, but works really well. Neither of them are super expensive. My looper, I have currently now got a Boss RC500, which are a bit pricey for loopers, but you know, you can get something like a Boss. I've also got the smaller looper, the Boss, I think it might be the RC, is it the 100 or something like that, but it's about $150, and it's a simple single button, you know, to record your loop, and press a button again to overdub that loop. Another good pedal if you want to get a simple little looper is, I think it's the MXR, and it's the Ditto. So look up Ditto, D-I-T-T-O. They do a really good little tiny pedal, one button, one little, you know, stomp button to record your tracks. So yeah, you know, if you've got an acoustic like me, and you're looking for ways maybe to make your practice a little bit more interesting, then why not consider an acoustic amplifier, you know, a couple of pedals, maybe a looper. And in fact, first off, you could just get the looper and use the effects on your amplifier. So use like the reverb and the chorus on your amplifier, then add the pedals later. So yeah, just a few ideas there, guys, and something a bit different today on the channel, and I hope it might be useful for somebody out there who's maybe doing this as well. So I'll catch you next time, guys.